I think this story really let us know that reality overpass fiction. I mean, it's like a super movie. Can you explain a little about the whole story?
Yeah, well, first off, thanks for having us. Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy, stranger than fiction story. It's like a gift from the documentary gods. Everything you want. An incredibly charismatic, smart, thoughtful, brilliant pilot as a central character who intersects with all these sort of crazy moments in history, all these names you're very familiar with from the 80s and 90s and even today, and it also intersects with one of the biggest political, moments in American history.
How did you approach the family? I mean, they were very cooperative, and I'm suspecting that. Well, I know that it took you several years because you have interviews that are a few years apart.
Yeah, and we've been part of this project for a few years, and believe it or not, even before us, there was a first-time filmmaker who was friends with the family, and he started doing his own sort of interviews that we then inherited and collaborated with him to then create this. So you do get that sense of time, which I think is what you're referring to, and it's lucky for us. I think they knew that their story was different. They knew their story was special, and they trusted us to run with it. So we got very lucky, and we've just been careful to do right by them.
I think that Gary Wetzner is like a hero, a small town hero in a way. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Explain the fascination that we have in this culture with this kind of people.
There is no culture that wants to watch a small town guy rise to the amazing heights that he rose to more than the American audience, because it's baked. You're right. I mean, it's baked into our culture, and you can really go from ordinary to extraordinary, and that is a big piece of what we love about this. Is you're rooting for him, but you're also saying, what the hell is he doing? So you get a little bit of both.
Were you surprised when McKay decided to be part of the project as well?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Were you surprised when McKay decided to be part of the project as well?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. I mean, talk about feeling lucky and humbled and all that stuff, because he's the best in the business, along with his partner, Todd Schulman. These guys know story better than anyone. And the tone, his brand has its own tone, right? It's got the humor, but it's got the sort of seriousness of the subject. And they're really good at, and some of that quirkiness, and they're really good at really combining different tones. And we really wanted to borrow from that. And look, I mean, it's not often that you get guys at that level who are really willing to be this creatively involved, help us shape the story from day one, and partner with us. We got really lucky on it. They really responded to the footage.
I have to say that there are many documentaries out there that they're very interesting by content, but then visually they're a little poor, but yours has both. I mean, at the beginning, I thought that it was fiction. All those opening shots and the town and the roads, and it was, how did you accomplish that, combining reality and fiction and then illustrating it with great footage?
Phil shot those. He's
Yeah.
also a very good DP, director of photography.
But I think, as filmmakers, Ari and I, we went to that bridge, we saw those locations. We just knew we had to bring that specific moment alive, because I think once you drill that in the audience's mind, once you kind of create that moment of shock, of surprise, and of questions in the audience's mind, I think they're along for the ride. And the only way we could do that was by going there and finding a kind of a cool way of shooting it that would not only sort of do service to kind of the bigger story, but also to that moment of kicking off a mystery that you just want to stick with for the rest of the episodes.
Why do you think the two daughters, the ex-wife, the wife, and then the son agreed to be so open and so willing to help in this project, or to bring Gary's life into the screen?
Look, I mean, I think they know, they know that their story is different, and they know that, they have something to say. I think that when people take a real interest in your life in the way that we did with theirs, I think there's a feeling of almost what's the word? I'm sorry.
Fluttering, being flattered.
Yeah, well, that, but that's not what I was getting at. I was actually getting more at sort of, feeling like, okay, we did it. We accomplished something. We have this life, and now we have this sort of weird closure with it. And it really shows in their interviews, I think, that they really trusted us, and I think they really knew that we weren't trying to sort of twist their arm to tell us the story this way or tell us the story that way. Just tell us the story as you are, and it was a lot of work, but I think it really worked.
How did you establish the relationship?
How did we start it?
Yeah.
We started the relationship through the local filmmaker who was a childhood friend of Travis, the son.
The 14-year-old, they met when they were 14 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, they met when they were kids, right? And they're in the playground, and he's saying, "My dad is the best," and the other kid's saying, "No, my dad is the best." And he was
My
like,
dad is a CIA guy.
Exactly. He's like, "Wait a second, did you just say CIA?" And so, to Craig's credit, he went on a hunt, and he was like, "I need to learn more about this," and luckily brought us into it.
I think you guys should make a movie after it
Yeah.
could be very rich movie.
Yeah, can you finance it?
No, but I'm sure you're going to make money after showing it on HBO. Some money. I mean.
No. I mean, I think that, with the scripted piece, it's always, it's always great to be able to adapt these stories into more, and when they deserve it and when they need it. I think in this case, because the story is so hard to believe, it already almost plays to your point about the photography at the top. It almost feels like it plays like a fictional movie. So it's a question of what we can do to really progress the story in a scripted project, as opposed to just doing it to do it.
It's a story of redemption in a way, and forgiveness, and everybody seemed at ease.
I'm glad you think that. I'm really glad you said that. I mean, I think we wanted audiences to make up their mind on that point. Redemption is a tricky thing, and I don't know. I know there's, when you go through something like this, there's a lot of sort of personal, soul searching that you have to do. But hopefully this project helps give them a little bit of redemption, and we like to think that it did.
For me, after seeing the documentary, I totally understood what he did. I liked him, actually.
See?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot to like, from a relatability standpoint, from a charisma standpoint. I think that, there's certainly consequences to his actions, and, he paid the price for that. And in some ways he paid the price for kind of the country, and weirdly. So